This podcast features adult content not suitable for listeners under the age of 18. You have been warned.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of Back to the Story, where friends come together to play Dungeons and Dragons. I'll be your DM, Klouse. Let's get started.
So, picking back up where we left off, Chapter 2, Pit of Despair, Embershore, Severwind, 9th Long Night, 3rd Era, year 627. Previously, after recovering from the skirmish with the storm creatures in the clearing, there's a sudden burst of strange purple and blue arcane energy, resulting in Meli falling out of it before it dissipates in a snap. Catching up Meli after her strange entrance, you all continue to the set of boulders you've seen before, where Bál's explored the pit. Once you get there, the pit is maybe 10 feet in diameter and a straight drop about 60 feet down. Using Bál's rope, you descend into a near-perfect circular room of moss and dirt-covered stone. There is only one egress besides the ceiling, and is a narrow tunnel. Most can fit, but Bál must squeeze to get through. Just at the entrance to this tunnel are the remainders of 3 bodies, 2 with ribs split open and seemingly butchered, with another of orcish heritage, untouched, except a white handprint over the face. The smell's horrendous as you all move through, Bál leading. As he squeezes towards the end of the 50-foot tunnel, Bál suddenly takes an onslaught of 4 javelins before a skirmish begins with a cannibalic gullah. The fight is difficult as the group is stuck in the narrow tunnel, but eventually fights their way out, taking 4 gullah out and capturing the last. As the group decides what to do with this gray-skinned, tattooed gullah, he begins to pray in a very strange language, increasing in intensity, holding a burnt brown bone. Just as he begins to bolt away, Kalvyn puts 2 blades through his back. In the now quiet cavern, the group begins to search the area, finding a few narrow tunnels, outlets, and a pool of water. Suddenly, Meli is drawn in by the same blue and purple energy as before, teleporting her away in an arcane flash, as she points out to some movement just before she goes. Kalvyn dives into action, swimming after the creature into the pool of water. As the rest of the group comes out to see this, waiting to see what happens, Kalvyn swims through the murky waters up and out as he chases down the gullah, but finds 2 more and a larger masked one as well. As he fights alone, the rest of the group chases Kalvyn through the water as Amsen stays in the cavern. Eventually, the group finds Kalvyn and the other gullah commencing a fight to the death as Amsen begins to work his way through a narrow tunnel towards the sounds. Kalvyn goes down, then Bál, Vesper, and Ellory as Amsen climbs up the cave hallway. Seeing so many of his friends on the ground, ripping a patch off of his robes, 2 hounds are magically conjured, tearing into the remaining gullah as Ellory wakes from unconsciousness, before being knocked back down by the gullah leader. With just 1 gullah remaining, Amsen faces off with his hounds, one being cut down. As Amsen falls, and the last gullah moves in to finish off the unconscious half-elf, Ellory wakes to blast him with fire before it is too late. As the light of the fire burns down, she is left alone. Meli, as you are pulled through this portal, you're surrounded by the similar light as before. Sparks of blue and purple energies flowing around you as you are tossed head over heels. Make a perception check.
15.
15. Okay, as you look around, you see storms of energy grinding against one another, and you see a large mass in the distance, something moving. And as you're flipping head over heels, just starting to get your bearings, you see nearby, as it passes through your vision each time you flip, you see a strange bluish-purple rock structure. And as you're slowly drifting towards it. As you are drifting towards it, it slowly comes to it 50 feet, 30, 20, 10, finally kind of landing softly on this strange structure. You see bits of rock and crystals just floating around it, this strange asteroid. You feel a pulsing energy nearby.
Can I move towards whatever that is?
Yes, and what's your intelligence score? Whatever it is, as you move, you are slow at first as you realize you can't just move on muscle memory. You have to almost consciously think your right leg to move, then your left. It takes a little while to get used to it, but Your mind begins to work quicker and get used to this strange moving mechanism, and you find yourself moving very quickly, quicker than you can anywhere else. As you're shifting towards the rock, towards the pulsing sound you hear. You go maybe another 30 feet before you see jutting rocks of crystal and some sort of rock slide, it looks like, where it looks like there's a cavern entrance.
Am I go in?
Yeah. You climb through, digging over these rocks, entering into what looks like a room. Looking around, you see the vaguely circular room with destroyed, like columns of crystal that are fallen down upon each other. You see things tossed about. You see in the center sundered black energy. And you see bones, large bones. You see it's taking up a large section of this room, almost the entirety of it. These bones are spread out.
Those bones and then a black energy thing, did you say?
There's not a black energy thing, but there is a crystal, or a crystal pedestal, a circular crystal pedestal, towards the other side of the room where you are. It seems to be where the pulsing is coming from. It's dimly. It's pulsing brighter and quieter.
I really want to touch it. So I will go over and look at it.
Okay. Yeah, you go over there and you see, as you get closer, your crystal in your pocket, you can feel the energy pulsating as if the two energies are coinciding and building off of one another as you get closer. You can see strange runes carved around on this crystalline pedestal.
Do I recognize any?
Make an Arcana check.
16?
Do you speak Draconic?
Yes.
Okay. You recognize these as Draconic runes, but they're not language. They're not words or characters, but they're Draconic arcane runes. You recognize them to be, you don't understand the entirety of the magic, but you do understand it to be some sort of transmutation-based magic. The pulsing of the energy is building now. You can feel it almost getting hot in your hand, the crystal.
I put it on the thing.
Yeah, make a wisdom saving throw.
I feel like this is a bad idea, guys.
Experimentation, classic lizards.
16?
Okay. As you touch it, whatever energy was building in your crystal and this, they coincided with a sudden flash of purple and blue energy as you're suddenly blinded by it. Picking back up, in the pit where Ellory was left alone, hours later, from unconsciousness, Kalvyn and Amsen wake. Yet Bál and Vesper are unmoving. From this pit of despair, you all work the next hours to drag out the bodies of your friends, lowering Vesper into the narrow crevice and dragging her out, floating Bál through the water, threatening to drown you. You have to come up from air, then try again. But eventually you get them into the circular pit where the rope hangs down. Kalvyn is able, after a few times, trying to climb up with Vesper over his shoulder. And then, after tying the rope to Bál, it takes all of your combined might to pull him up. But eventually, through repeated failures, you're able to lift everyone up out of the pit and back into the snow-covered evergreen woods outside of Embershore. As you've pulled everyone up and you're catching your breath and you're looking around, you hear a sudden sparking of energy. As you look over your shoulder, you see bright light for a moment. As Meli, you suddenly flop out, landing next to the boulders where you entered the pit before. Night has fallen as it's been hours, and though there is only light wind, it's enough to stir up flurries of snow, as the dog is also pulled up as well, the remaining hound, as you're all here outside of the pit. What would you like to do?
Oh, Meli, you're here.
What happened?
Got into a fight that we weren't prepared for. It's bad. It's really, really bad.
Are they unconscious?
They're not getting back up.
Meli just burst into tears because I don't know what else to do.
We have to get them back home.
Yeah. We need to get home. I rip off another patch, and thankfully this is the only other animal I've got. I conjure a riding horse with saddlebags.
Okay, you throw the patch to the ground. It lights up in arcane energy, bursting light forth, and from that light swirling into the form, at first of a vague spectral horse, but then it solidifies into a very real, salted, black and white horse with saddlebags and a saddle over its back.
Okay, all right. We could probably get Vesper back to town with this. We're going to need something else for Bál.
You head on. I'll do what I can. You come fetch us when you get help.
Yeah. I'll get some Covenant. Yes, I'll do that. Maybe a cart too. All right. Help me get Vesper onto this horse then.
Kalvyn will do whatever. He just kind of goes into movement mode.
Okay, and you're all slowed from the fight. Everything's a little slower, a little harder, but you are able to put Vesper over the back of the horse. The going is slow in the snow. Where are you taking her?
I'm gonna take her. The Abbey's just outside of town, right?
Yes.
Okay. If I have to go through town in order to get to the other side of town in order to get to the Abbey, then I'll do that. But if I don't, I'll go straight to the Abbey and then back into town to look for some some guards.
Yeah, you don't
stuff.
have to go through town. The Abbey is sort of the northwest outside of town, and you're sort of south. So you can just kind of go around towards the west walls and go straight to the Abbey.
Okay. I'll go straight to the Abbey then, and then I'll go into town to find some guards and a cart.
Okay. And so as Amsen has Vesper on the horse and is beginning to move, what are the rest of you guys doing? Is anyone going with them, or
I'm also going to leave the dog with the rest of you guys too.
Kalvyn's just going to do what he can to, I guess, throw one of Bál's arms over his shoulder, fireman style, and just kind of one foot in front of the other.
Okay, make an athletics check at a disadvantage since you're exhausted from the battle.
Can I help out with that?
Between the both of you, yeah, y'all can make it down to just a straight roll.
No. It's a check.
Yeah.
It's a 6.
Okay. The just trying to lift him up is difficult. Between him, his weight, and the armor, and then the snow, which is causing you to slip, and it's hard to trod through. You can pull him, but you're not going to get very far very quickly. But you can start to make progress. Meli, what are you doing as Amsen begins to move out on the horse?
I don't know what to do. I'm not going to be any help anywhere. So I'll just stick with Ellory and Kalvyn, I guess, if anything comes at us.
Okay. So you stick with them as Amsen, you ride on with the horse, which is much quicker, able to carry both of you without ease, though the snow does slow it down somewhat, but it's much faster than what you could run, especially carrying her. You go around the west walls, and eventually you see the hill covered in snow where Stone Abbey is. You trot up the hill, and you see the doors are closed. You do see faint light through the windows.
I'll stumble off the horse and knock on the door.
You knock on the door and it kind of creaks a little bit open. It's not locked. You can hear from within voices.
All right. In that case, I'll open it up and with the horse like right in front of the door, stumble in. Okay.
You open it up, revealing the pews and the altar in the back of this temple, the small temple. You see there's one female in robes tending to what looks like a covenant, who's kind of laid on the back of a table. And you see Varys there in his armor with his stone arm and shield, kind of leaned over this individual, kind of working on him. They look up as they see your silhouette, and with the wind rushing in some of the snow into the temple.
Get a moment of dread and anxiety and panic. More potent than any form of stage fright that I've ever had before. And I push it aside and I simply say, "Somebody's down. I need a priest."
Immediately Varys nods and places his shoulder on the other female, the hooded female who's next. As he looks over as Varys moves forward. What happened?
There's no time to explain. I've got to get everybody else. I'm so sorry, but... And then I just point to the horse.
He was walking towards you with the pace of a soldier, his armor kind of clinking, and as you said, he looks behind, and you see his eyes almost widen and dilate at the same time as he rushes past you without a word, and taking Vesper into his arms and kind of pulls her off it. He's quickly trying to brush her hair out of her face and get the snow off, seeing the blood.
I'm sorry, Stone Shield.
What happened?
I need to get everyone else.
He immediately grabs his simple, closing his eyes, the light glowing, and presses silver gold energy into Vesper. There's sort of a dull hum, just kind of a dum, and fades. What did you do? He's starting to pick her up now into his arms. Her head kind of bobbing limply over his arms as he starts to walk away down the hill towards the city.
All right, then I'll wordlessly just get onto the horse and ride into town and look for somebody who's willing to donate their cart for the rest of the night.
Okay, make a perception check.
Okay. That is not bad. Let me get my character sheet. Right, it's a 0. 18.
Okay, 18. As you kind of get up on the horse, as Varys is walking down the stone steps from the hill, and you're beginning to head towards the city, you see kind of right next to the temple, there's sort of a wooden lean-to where it just looks like basic like rakes and basic tools are kept. And beside it, you see a small cart. It's not huge. Bál's limbs would definitely be hanging off, but you could get most of his weight onto it.
Okay. Does it look sturdy enough, though?
It looks pretty sturdy, yeah.
All right, I'll commandeer that.
Okay. Yeah, you go over, take a minute to kind of hook it up as you watch Varys walking up to the gates where he talks to the Covenant, or you're not sure if he exchanged any words, but they open up the gate enough for him to go through into the city, hooking up the cart and riding back to your friends.
I would hope to get either somebody from the temple or a couple Covenant or something like that to come with me as well.
Okay. There's that one female inside of the temple who was there.
If she's the only one,
the gates.
If she's the only one in the temple, I'm not going to ask her because she's got stuff to do with people inside. But in that case, I'll ask the Covenant just outside the gate if they can spare somebody to come with us.
Come where?
My friends are coming back. One of them has fallen. You know, Bál, the big one? We need to bring him back.
He kind of looks at you quizzically. He kind of looks to his partner next to the gate. You knew a Bál? I know. What's wrong? You see the other guard kind of steps up. And you can see the first one basically doesn't know who you're talking about, but the other one does have a look of concern on him.
He fell defending us, and we need to bring him back to town.
He looks towards his partner, kind of puts his hand on his shoulder. You got this? He says, yeah, I got it. As he turns and, all right, lead the way.
Thank you. And then he can either get in the cart or something like that, or if he's got a horse or whatever.
He didn't have a horse, but he'll get in the back of the cart.
Okay.
Almost using a chariot style.
Okay.
You can see as he kind of gets on, he's kind of this grizzled, has a short but unkempt gray and white beard. His hair is kind of sticking out of the bone helm, and he carries a spear in one hand. As you are taking him through the snow, following the tracks you left, the rest of you are dragging Bál as best you can. 2 people under his shoulders, resting when you have to get a breather, going towards the closest gate, which would probably, unless you wanted to go towards the temple, the closest gate would be the south gate for Kalvyn and Ellory and Meli.
Yeah, whatever is the fastest.
Okay. Yeah, if you're heading there, eventually, Amsen, you kind of come around and eventually see your friends dragging Bál very slowly through the snow.
All right.
And as we're dragging him, all I can think about is the cliffs and being in the water and trying to hold his head above the water and not being able to do that. And it feels the same.
Yeah, the burden weighs heavy in your arms and on your heart as you're dragging him along. But you'll hear the horse snorting and struggling through the snow. You hear the cart kind of creaking in the wood as you see Amsen on the horse, followed by a cart and then someone in the cart as well. It was like a covenant.
I'll kind of like give them a little bit of a wide berth and then turn back around so that the horse in the cart is facing town when I pull up beside them.
The covenant immediately jumps out and starts moving over to Bál to drag him towards the cart. You can see he's kind of figured out what's going on, and his soldier instincts are kicking in. He wordlessly goes into action.
Where's Vesper? Where did you leave her?
Stoneshield has her. She's in good hands. Are you all right? You didn't get attacked or anything? You're fine?
Fine is the wrong word, but we didn't get attacked.
All right. If you can get in. I don't know how strong this horse is, but I guess we'll find out.
Okay. With the Covenant and Kalvyn and everyone helping, you get Bál in. His arms hang off the sides. His legs are going to drag in the snow a bit, but the majority of his weight is in the cart. As you begin to push forward with the horse, it's slow moving at first. It takes a while to kind of get that momentum, but once it starts pulling through the snow, it is able to pick up speed a little bit. Maybe not if anyone else gets in, but with just you on its back and Bál back, it can slowly pull through the snow. Much faster than you could dragging it on foot.
All right. If anybody looks like they're about to collapse or whatever, then I'll get off the horse and then give them the seat on the back if they need it.
Okay.
Kind of like trade off every now and then because we're all exhausted. So.
Yeah, everyone's. And Ellory is actually moving slower than most.
Then
she's limping heavily.
Yeah. Then I'll get off pretty quickly and then tell her to get on. And if I'm expecting her to protest, I'm just going to say, just get on. Just do it.
Yeah, I put up a bit of a protest at first, but I don't have it in me to fight about it, so I get on.
Yeah, you get on. And the rest of you, at a brisk walk, you can kind of keep up with the horse. But it's double the speed of you trying to drag him, if not faster. Eventually you push through the snow, through these evergreen woods, and come to the south gate where they're a covenant. The other covenant, kind of the one that was with you, kind of jogs up ahead, says something to them as they prepare and open the gates as you'll pull through it. Once you'll get to the gates, the snow isn't as thick, has been sort of cleared by the city, and travels a little bit quicker as you come into the city. And where are you heading?
I guess I'll start asking around where if anybody's seen Stoneshield walking through town to figure out where he went.
Okay, make a persuasion check.
Okay. That's a 15.
You see there's like a farmer folk. This looks like he's heading out of the exchange. You can see there's a big sack over his shoulder that's kind of clinging. Asking him if he's seen him. Yeah, I've seen him. He's got some nails from the forge there. Yeah, I saw him. He went by the shop there, the alchemy shop. Saw headed back toward the docks. Last I saw a few others with him.
Okay. Then I'll let everybody else know and coordinate everybody to go to the docks.
Okay. After asking them, you'll head that way with Bál in tow, heading towards the docks. You can see, you've seen it many times before, but it's always a sight that kind of takes your mind off of things, at least temporarily, of the waves rolling into the shore, underlit by the orange and yellows of the burning emberstones below it. The entire coastline, especially in this bay where Embershore is built, is lit by these lights. As y'all come towards the docks, you can see the ships of the raiders, Northolt, and a few other ships. And you see the Odysseus temple on the hill over the shore. You see a bar, you see a few other establishments. Where would you like to go?
Anybody have any idea?
Would he have gone to the other temple?
Maybe. That makes sense. Well, let's check it out anyways. So, yeah, let's go to that other temple then.
Okay. And quietly, as you're all dealing with this in your minds, as you head up to the Odysseus Harbor, it's kind of on a hill close to the shore, overlooking the docks and the waves. And it's a bit on a jutting kind of rock hill. And the temple itself isn't stone. It's actually looks like an upside down boat. The boat has been turned upside down. It looks like there's big columns. Looks like maybe former masts of ships that are using to support it up off the ground. And there's no walls between these columns, just looks like leather, tanned leather and fur flaps that seem to cover at least a little bit. And there's one entrance where the leather flaps are kind of lofting in the wind, though it looks like they've been partially weighted down by rocks, marking the entrance. The boat itself is beautifully carved at the head and the back, and all along the side you see symbols of the goddess for this temple, Valtameri, symbols of storm and boat and ship and serpent.
Right. I'll stumble ahead of everybody else and then make sure to see if he's in there.
Okay, so you move quickly kind of up that hill, pushing through the leather flaps. Immediately looking in, you can see it's busier than it was the last time you went. You've been here, but it was years ago when you went with Ellory. You can see there are several of these raider-looking individuals, tattooed. You do see towards the back, you see the Tiefling that you met before, Stormdreamer, with her yellow eyes and tattooed shoulder. You see there talking to her is Varys with a stone arm, with Vesper mostly in his other arm, talking to her.
Okay, I'll head back and tell everybody that he's there, and to I guess start unloading Bál.
Okay. So you get as close as you can, and then from there begin to pull Bál up. As you all eventually kind of, with Bál dragging him, make it into this temple. You see all of the raiders and all of the other temple inhabitants are kind of looking, staring off towards you. As you see Varys, and you see who you recognize to be Lysander, Vesper's other father as well, who's standing with them.
Kind of while everybody's around me, I kind of half not say under my breath, "We're so dead. We're in so much trouble."
Kalvyn's just moving mechanically and just trying to, like I can't believe this is happening. I know, just to move.
You'll move forward as you see Varys and Lysander being led by Stormdreamer outside on the other side of the ship through flaps to a sort of a short cliff. It's only maybe 15 feet up, but the cliff sort of juts out this rock, leading almost a dock or deck-like rock. Nice clear circle where Stormdreamer kind of points to the area, and Varys begins to lay her down. You see a few of the raiders are kind of interested and kind of looking out, beginning to walk to where they can see as well, outside.
I'll I don't want to do everything. You guys want to do something?
I got nothing, man. I don't know. Like I said, Kalvyn is just gonna be like, there's got to be a solution up ahead, right?
Yeah, I'd help out, but you know how it goes.
All right.
Shut up, Vesper. Nobody's talking to you.
I guess I'll go out there and I'll kind of, to nobody but to everybody in particular, just kind of ask where to put Bál.
Who do you ask in particular?
Kind of like Lysander and Stormdreamer and Varys in that area.
Okay. As you kind of ask in that general direction, you see Lysander turn quickly towards you. You can see his eyes. He looks mostly human with his well-kempt dark hair and mustache, very well-groomed. Looks mostly human, except for his eyes, these rings of burning coal. And as he turns to you, you can see the streaks of wet flowing down his cheeks, and you see a look of intensity come over his eyes. It wasn't good enough you killed one. You see the tears are flowing.
I'll just take it. I'm not going to say anything yet.
You see, looking over Lysander's shoulder, you see Stormdreamer. Child, just place him in the tent for now.
All right. And then I'll turn back and just find someplace comfortable-ish looking to direct everybody to place Bál.
Okay, and you can kind of lean him up maybe against one of the masts, one of the columns supporting the boat and upside down in the air. As Stormdreamer kind of looks out. Though the path may be arduous, many may find their way. But to find her way back home, the path must be paved. She looks out kind of to this small crowd that's kind of gathering outside just to see what's going on. A few raiders and a few other more typical followers of Valtameri. She turns towards the crowd and towards Varys and Lysander. You see they look at each other as Lysander reaches around the back of his neck and undoes a necklace. As he pulls it out, you see a silver chain, and on the end of it, you see what looks like a ring that glints slightly. Looks like a wedding ring. And he pulls it off and hands it to Stormdreamer with her hand stretched out. She takes it. So be it. She moves Vesper onto this overlook outside and folds the wedding ring in Vesper's hand on her chest. She is given a bowl of sea salt from one of her wanderers, followers of the goddess of Valtameri, begins drawing a circle and symbols and salt around her. As she does, the symbol that's chained around her neck begins to swing a little bit in the wind as the wind begins to pick up. When you look into the air, you hear thunder rumbling across the sky. She gives that away, and another wanderer brings out 3 serpents, dead. Looks like their necks slit down from head to tail. She places them in a circle around Vesper. The wedding ring underneath her hands, the light begins to shine through the cracks, as now the waves at the shoreline, underlit by the ember stones orange and yellow, begin to crash with wild vigor as you see the dark clouds forming above the sky. The others are gathering around now as a few are kind of stepping closer, as Lysander and Varys are kind of stepping close, placing their hands upon Vesper. You see Varys holding his holy symbol. He says a prayer as it glows, and he takes it from his neck and places it around hers. As Stormdreamer kind of calls out, "Who then will guide her on their journey?" And she is asking anyone who would like to participate in this ritual to aid Vesper on her way from death.
Okay, Kalvyn will step forward.
Okay. You see Lysander and Varys angrily looking at you, their cheeks
Totally
both wet
ignores
with
it.
tears. They step aside for you, even in their anger, as you step forth to see the dead Vesper in the circle of salt and serpent. What would you like to offer?
Kalvyn, walk forward, kneel down to Vesper, and just kind of take a deep breath and exhale. And he'll take the dagger that he made from Donovan's forge, from her hip, where she still has it, and he'll take it and he'll run it across his hand, and place his hand on her arm where the blood is running on her arm, and he will and he says, "My life for yours," and enacts the pack of fire, or the Crimson Rite, tries to push the power of his blood into her.
Okay. And as you do, the blood flowing from the dagger and then onto hers, the blood ignites briefly in energy, seeming to not burn yours or her hands beyond just the blood dripping from it. Make a persuasion check.
Well, that's awesome. I'm super good at persuasion.
Are you digging more into the magic of the rite?
Yep. Yeah, more. Yeah,
Okay.
more into my magic than anything.
I'll say make a straight wisdom check, as this isn't really a skill, but you're going to make it at disadvantage because you're currently exhausted.
Oh, shit. Okay, well then I'm going to use, let's see here. No, not that one. Pull out the critical roll dice. Keyleth and Vax, let's see what you got. Well, it's not good at disadvantage because life sucks. That's a 9.
Okay.
Vax rolled a 19 for the record.
Okay.
Fucking Keyleth.
You put your hand on her arm and grip it as the flames kind of envelop, almost wrapping around both of your arms for a moment as the blood trickles and igniting in flame. As you say this, do you leave the dagger with her?
Oh no, I just keep it gripped in my other hand, kind of.
Okay, you keep it gripped as the blood kind of drips down. As you kind of pull away from this, offering what you can, you hear the rumble of the clouds above, where the dark clouds have formed, rumble once again, loud. As you see the waves on the shoreline nearby are more vigorously crashing in to the shore. And you see a few more raiders and other wanderers come outside to just see what is going on, as you see the clouds almost circling, spiraling above. Who else would like to make an offering?
I'll go next.
Okay. Ellory, you step up, limping slowly forward.
And I take a moment to look up at the sky, just to try and calm myself a bit. And then I also take out a dagger, but this one is different. This is the one that I looted from the Gullah. And I take out one of the harpy feathers that I collected from the first time that Vesper saved my life. And I untie my hair and use the cord to tie the feather to the hilt of this dagger. And I say, I wasn't here to give you a winterlude present this year, but I have something for you now. I took this off of that bastard that killed you, and it's yours. But here's the thing. If you want to add this to your collection, you have to come and fucking claim it. And I set it down just out of reach of her hand.
And as you place it down, you see the feather is caught up in the wind that's quickly building, and it kind of blows in the wind next to her hand. Make a persuasion check. At disadvantage because you're currently exhausted. The dried blood is still all over all of you, and especially you see Vesper as the large axe wound on her shoulder, neck area.
You said persuasion?
Correct.
If I'm doing my math right, that's 11.
Okay.
That's 9 plus 3. No, that's 12. 9 plus 3.
Well, okay. As the wind still is pulling on the feather, pulling it away, the dagger kind of spins a little bit, rattles a little bit from this mass formed by it as you release your words to her and back away. Who else would like to help in the last portion of this ritual?
Okay. All right. Amsen will walk up to it. He's going to concentrate for a minute and change his jacket to black, and then he's gonna sing. Something always brings me back to you. It never takes too long. No matter what I say or do, I still feel you here till the moment I'm gone. You heal me without touch. You keep me from the pain. I never wanted anything so much than to give myself and take away your pain. Vesper, please, hear my plea. I don't want you to take another step up to Ain. Here I am, and I stand so tall, just the way I'm supposed to be, 'cause you healed me, protected me. And I think I will stop there. Just because
as your song trails off, as you're singing closer to her fallen body, the wind is starting to pick up the salt air as it splashes against your cheek, re-wetting some of the blood on it as it slowly begins to trickle down. Make a performance check.
Oh boy. Disadvantage because exhausted?
Correct.
Okay. This is great. It rhymes with great. The total's 8.
Okay. Okay. So as your last words fall apart and you two step back, Stormdreamer, who has been kind of standing just on the edge towards her head of the circle, kind of steps forward, and you see her moving her hands with her eyes closed as you see the symbol glowing. Above, you hear a thunderous crack once again as you hear rain begin to pour down suddenly. And as the rain begins to fall down, dissolving away the salt and washing away the blood from your armor and your faces and your hair, you see the ring that was glowing, the diamond ring that was glowing underneath her hands, suddenly burst as the energy begins to flow around her. And above, from the clouds, there's a slow, unnaturally slow lightning strike that crawls its way down slowly before it lands, striking into Vesper at her heart. In that moment, the light of the lightning strike is blinding, and for a moment, all you see is white. Now, if you guys don't mind, we're going to do a reverse whisper. So if I can have everyone just turn their sound off, besides Vesper, and then I'll, in the chat, I'll just type something for y'all to unmute the sound, if that's okay. Okay. So I'll give you guys about 5 seconds to just turn your sound off. Vesper, you are still and quiet. And as you see nothing, you begin to realize you are in a void of blackness. Walking, you can see dust come up every time you walk, this black ash-like dust in this still void. In the distance, you see light flickering, green and blue. And you see it bobbing as it seems to be heading towards you. A moment passes, and a few more pass as well. As you see coming forward towards you, you see the light is coming from a lantern on the end of a shepherd's hook of a staff. You see a robed man is holding it, slowly moving towards you. You see there's not fire, but a glowing moth, flickering green and blue inside of the lantern. The robed man has pale skin, but as the shadow covers from the hood covers most of his face, but you can see glowing, vibrant green eyes, as if he has little flakes of emeralds within. As he walks up to you, you hear a voice in your mind. I will guide you where you need to go as we walk in this darkness. As he says this, what?
Where am I going?
He turns around, and as you say that, he looks over his shoulder, says, I think you know. And as he begins to put his staff forward, he begins to move, leading you in a direction you're not sure where. It goes like this for a moment or two, and you hear a noise, faint. You can hear as around you, you notice rain begins to fall. The stranger stops and turns towards you. As the rain is falling, it's landing on the ground, and you see almost a strange silhouette of figures through the rain. And the sound at first is just clatter on the ground, but then the sound of this rain begins to form into distant voices. You hear what they say. You see the vision of what they offer. As you see yourself in rain on the ground. As this vision formed in rain coalesces itself, you see there's a bright light as lightning kind of strikes where your vision, your silhouette of rain is formed. And floating up from it, you see a spark of light.
I look at the stranger.
You see the stranger is to your left, and the spark of light is over to your right. You must choose.
I go towards the sparkling light. I go back to my friends and my family.
Okay. You walk over towards the light, and as you touch it. Okay. Does everyone have their sound back on and can hear me?
Yep, Bruce.
Okay. So as you're waiting, a moment passes. As after the lightning strikes and the light clears, you can see the wound, this huge gash in her shoulder leading down towards her chest. You see it sundered and scorched by the lightning, sealing it. A moment passes more. You see no movement as the rain continues to fall. Another moment passes before you see just a flicker from the hand. A flinch from the neck as the head turns back to face the sky, blinking as the rain patters on the cheeks, washing the blood away. As Vesper, as you kind of blink your eyes open, you see the sky raining down, and you see you're surrounded by a group of your friends and family.
I think she just starts crying.
The tears are mixed with the rain as quickly Varys and Lysander rush over and wrap their arms around you.
Yeah, I cling on to mostly Lysander, but both of them.
Vesper, you currently have 5 levels of exhaustion.
Ooh, okay.
And you're at 1 hit point. But you're alive. And the rest of y'all see this as well.
While everybody else is doing that, I'm going to focus and change my jacket to white.
And as if leaves turning over, it rushes down your jacket, turning over from black into white.
And then once that's done, I'll rush in and join in the group hug.
Okay, you rush in. And even then, just tears of joy, even Varys kind of wraps you around as well. Just happy.
Investor's just telling them that she's sorry.
They're shaking their heads now. Lysander even kind of chuckles a little bit, just in sheer joy.
Sorry, I shouldn't have gone.
Maybe you should. Varys actually grabs your hand and places it on your neck, where he put his holy symbol around your neck. Feel here. And as your eyes meet his gaze, you remember the story he told you and the scar on his temple. You've fallen, but you're here again.
I think she stops crying and just stares now.
As your friends are there as well, Amsen and Kalvyn, Ellory, Meli.
Kalvyn is definitely standing a peso at least away, just trying to let them have their moment, kind of staying out of it. Doesn't feel like he belongs.
Eventually, go ahead, Ellory.
I'm just looking up into the sky again and letting the rain just kind of wash my face.
And it's cold, but it's not frozen. It's not ice or snow, but it is. It's cold in the air, but the water itself is somewhat warm. It's strange mix because you're in the dead of winter, but the water is warm enough to not freeze in the atmosphere.
I think after a minute, Vesper starts looking around. Where are Bál and Kalvyn?
Kalvyn, you see, is standing right in front of you.
Kalvyn's right there.
Okay, where's Bál?
He's inside.
He's inside.
Why isn't he out here?
I just cover my face.
You were priority because Varys and Lysander.
No. Bring him out here. Why isn't he out here?
He's kind of heavy.
There are fucking all these people here. Bring him out.
Kalvyn just let's do it.
I go
Rushes
in.
to go get him.
Yeah, I go to help.
Get up if I can. I'm gonna real slow get up. Onto the altar. And try and follow him in.
Your movement is actually 0, so you try to get up and then you fall back down immediately. But Varys kind of helps pull you up to lean you against something as Kalvyn and the others go to pull Bál out from the tent. He's large and it takes a while to kind of drag him forth out with you all. See, Stormdreamer kind of walks over to his body and kind of looks down at him. She squats down and places her hand on his chest and kind of nods her head down for a moment and kind of looks up, standing. Who here will pay for this half-roomed?
How
Kind of
much?
shout, guiding her gaze upon the crowd until you say that. Diamond.
Have a time. I'll look at Varys and Lysander.
Do I know if my dad would have a diamond?
Make
We're
a
rich, right?
straight intelligence check.
I'd happily pay for it. Oh, fuck me, I got that one. 5.
His trade isn't, and he doesn't have a friend in the diamond business. I mean, he might could get one, but you don't know that he has one just on hand.
Malfira, the dwarf that invited me to the winery, do I know if she's a stone trader, but I don't know if she would have.
She seems more in like construction, stone-based masonry.
Okay.
Is there no one? And she's kind of calling out to the crowd.
I'm like desperately looking between my dads, like.
They kind of look at you and they kind of shake their heads and Lysander, that ring of your mother's was all I had. And he kind of is touching at his chest where he always has that necklace on his neck, and now it's bare.
Where can we find one? Where?
I don't know. And Lysander kind of looks towards Varys, and as this is happening, you notice a tall individual, probably about 6'7" or so, kind of walk out. Basic leather coverings. You see very thick and actually very long cloak of white fur with a white fur hood over his head. You can see a champagne blonde, thick beard that kind of comes out, that juts out from under the hood. His arms folded as he walks forth. You can hear chains rattling, necklaces on his chest, big, broad individual. Looking as he steps kind of out of the circle of individuals surrounding you all, the other raiders kind of part like the sea for him as he steps forward. You all recognize this individual as King Called, the leader of the raiders that came. As he kind of takes a step out and looks down at Bál, he looks back up towards Stormdreamer. Froon, you say? She looks down at him and back at him, kind of raises her eyebrow. I want to know what he has. As he kind of steps forward towards Bál, almost aggressively, and kind of gets down on his knee, and kind of grabs the collarbone of his armor, kind of pulls him up, and starts looking him over, dropping him back with a thud. He looks up at Stormdreamer. I want to know what he's worth. I want to know if he'll carry my axe. Stormdreamer nods, and we shall see. She steps forward. She takes the bowl of salt again and sprinkles it over Bál's chest. Her symbol glows bright. As King Called and Stormdreamer kind of leaned over Bál, kind of squatting down and on their knees. As Bál, you're in blackness and void, and you hear very distantly the sound of a river. There's no light in this place, but you see a glowing sphere, flickering, pulsing, bouncing in the distance. As it nears towards you, you see a large lunar moth about the size of your palm, glowing green and blue as it lands on your shoulder before slowly flying off. Very slowly, as if beckoning you forward. As Stormdreamer and King Connor leaned over and she sparks the last bit of energy for her spell, there's a massive thunder overhead. It seems to crack the sky in two. As Bál, you hear thunder as well. And after that loud thunderous crack, you hear a rumbling. There's a as if the sky is grinding on itself. And Bál, very distantly, vaguely, these rumbling, thunderous noise form into words. As the rest of you hear King Called ask, "From where do you hail?" As Bál, you hear these words. How do you respond?
I think kind of Bál looks out into the darkness and just kind of, he says, I have no home.
As the rest of you see Bál's dead form lying with the head tilted towards the side, the head creaks as if every bone in his neck snaps as it turns forward to face King Called, and the jaw unclamps open as you see, very guttural, as if from his diaphragm itself, burst forth words, I have no home. And King Called nods, looking at Stormdreamer. Do you want to live?
I do.
You can see at this point a dark brown-haired woman, long hair is braided in the back. She wears leathers and she has two short swords on her side. She kind of steps out from the crowd, looking at King Called. She looks towards him, one eyebrow raised. She kind of quickly makes a glance towards her and looks back towards you. Will you carry a message for me?
What is the message?
I need you to deliver an axe. I need to know if I and someone have business or not. And Bál, every time you hear these words, it's as if the rumbling of thunder is forming them. It's very dissonant and distant and gravelly. It's hard almost to hear what they say, but you do hear the words.
I can carry an axe.
At this point, King Called nods and looks at Stormdreamer and nods towards her as she's kind of holding the energy, her eyes closed, and she opens them once again to kind of watch. Her eyes are this stark, all yellow. They're glowing as she's holding the spell, and as he nods, she releases it as Baal's head falls down to the side once again. King Called kind of gets back up to his feet. So be it. He looks towards Stormdreamer, the Tiefling, again. Do it. He looks over towards the brown-headed female, nods to her. Go get it. She nods and slaps one of the raiders, who runs off. As he actually points towards Bál, and two raiders come forth, grab his legs, and drag him to the center of this jutting area, this short cliff. A few moments go by, and the other raider returns, handing something to King Called in his hand. As he brings it over to Stormdreamer, you see it's a bracelet, as several different, looks like small shimmering diamonds placed in it, and there's one slightly larger one in the center as he gives it to her. She looks it over, nods. This will do. As they begin to set Bál up, putting him in the center, the salt dropped in a circle with various symbols around in a ritualistic manner as the thunder continues to rumble and the rain is still beginning to pick up. But this time the wind is picking up as well. As she's doing this, the Stormdreamer sets these things up, and she is beginning to call for the snakes as one of the Wanderer brings forth 3 serpents, and she grabs them and begins to place them when another individual, a man broad-shouldered, comes forth. He's in kind of this chainmail vest almost, and he has with another, looks like a sailor behind him, is carrying over his shoulder a long serpent. It's maybe 12 or 14 feet long, this thick, maybe a half foot to a foot in diameter sea serpent. And he pulls out, there's a ridge, a dorsal ridge along its length as he pulls it forward. You'll recognize this to be one of the individuals who aided in Baal's upbringing, Garrett Nihilus, the Wanderer. She takes the snakes and gives them back to her aide as Garrett and Voyage set up this serpent around with the head near the head of Bál and the body wrapping around the very large body of Bál, almost all the way around, not quite reaching, but close. You can see its long, has blue-green scales, and one of its eyes is black. And as you look at it, there's silver blue flakes in the eye. As this sea serpent is pulled forth, the raiders and some of the wanderers are kind of like nudging at each other, looking, nodding, with hushed whispers under their breath as they're reacting to the sight of this thing. A few words come out. As this is placed and the spells begin, as Voyage stands at the top near Baal's head and begins to conjure up the spell, the bracelet glowing on Baal's chest. You can see the rain begins to fall heavy once again as the waves become more violent. Everyone go ahead and make a perception check for me. Everyone at disadvantage because of exhaustion.
Oh. 6.
Nope.
One was a 19, the other one's a 2.
Nope.
Nat 1.
No.
One was a nat 20, but 7.
No.
Got 10.
No. Okay. So as the rain begins to fall again, the waves becoming more violent, Voyage with the spell held in her hands. Who will aid Bál on this journey? As she says this, there's a fumbling kid about your age that kind of comes out from the crowd. You see in his hands, he has a pile of coins that he kind of moves over to Bál and kind of lays them to his side. At the side of his head, you see coins, maybe 17, 20 copper, a few silver, and he kind of lays them down and kind of just places his hand briefly on Baal's chest, closes his eyes, nods, and then kind of backs away. Who else? will aid in this ritual. She's holding the spell in her hands.
I'd like to go.
She nods.
And I was already crying, but I've been crying even harder since I heard him speak. I go up and I kneel down next to him, and the first thing, I just lean really close to him and I say, just for him, you are the only real peace I've had in a very, very long time. I take off my bracelet. I think about how the first few times my magic came to me, it seemed to be somehow because of him or partly because of him, and how my magic always seems to be stronger with him there. And I take the bracelet and I take his hand and I hold the bracelet between his hand and mine, with the stone pressing into his palm. And then I think about the conversation that we had in the woods when he told me about what he believes. And I say, I'm not a very good person, but you're the only person who makes me want to be better than I am. I just don't even know what that looks like without you. Because you're the best of us. So if anyone deserves a new fucking chance, it's you. Maybe someday your spirit will go off and return as somebody else. A new person, a new life. I don't know how it works. So who knows, maybe you'll come back as a wolf, or a bear, or even a mouse. But right now I don't need the mouse. I just need you. Come back to me. Just come back to me.
Make a persuasion check. At disadvantage because you're exhausted.
Oh, no.
Okay, I can't look.
Did that RP not earn her a straight roll?
It adjusts the DC. But
That's a 9 again, so 12.
okay.
I am shaking so badly right now.
As Ellory, do you leave your bracelet?
Yes.
Okay. Do you leave your bracelet and back away, leaving room for someone else to step up?
Vesper tries to. I can't move, but she tries to move forward.
Okay. Varys sees this and kind of helps you, lifts you up and pulls you closer to Bál.
I go into my bag and I pull out my prayer book. And I set it on his chest. Oh, God. And I speak to him in Giant. And I say, you're wrong, Bál. You have a home. It may not be a place, but we're here for you, and we're your home. You are my best friend. And the closest thing I've ever had to a brother. And this book is for you. Because I know you always like to have me show you how to pray and lead you. And figured I wrote some down, and there's space for you to write your own. But I miss you, and I can't do this without you. Just come home, please. Come home. And I'll kiss his forehead and then lean back.
Make either a persuasion or a religion check.
Fucking religion.
At a disadvantage.
Oh, fuck. That's 2 2s. So, 5.
Okay. Do you leave the prayer book there?
Yeah.
Guys, you leave the prayer book next to the bracelet. As next to both the bracelets, actually. Varys lifts you up and pulls you away. As the energy is being held in Voyage's hands, you see the bracelet that King Gold offered is glowing. As Voyage looks upon the rest of you to see who else wants to offer to this ritual.
Oh boy. Yeah, you can do it. Go ahead, man.
Shit. I was totally hoping not to. All
Either
right, I
either
had
you and me,
something,
you can say yes or no, man.
though. I got something, but if you want to sing again, I'm down for that.
I've got a whole song.
Yep. Stepping aside, Kalvyn looks to Amsen like, "You got this."
All right.
Take us home, Amsen.
Okay. I'm just gonna do the whole damn song this time because I think my dice hated me for that. All right. Yeah, I'll step up and be like, Eain, you're the goddess of Bál, right? Or at the very least of Vesper. Of at least half the group here. And kind of look at Ellory. I think some of the words that you want to say, you'll find in this. And I look up to the sky and say, Eain, this one is towards you. Look into my eyes, you will see what he means to me. Search your heart, search your soul, and when you find it there, just one chance more. Don't tell me it's not worth trying for. You can't tell me it's not worth asking for. You know it's true. Everything he does it for you. Look into his heart, you will find there's nothing there to hide. See him as he is, see his life. He would give it all, he would sacrifice. Don't tell me he's not worth fighting for. I can't help it, there's nothing I want more. You know it's true. Everything he does it for you. There's no heart like your heart, and no other could give more heart. He's not there unless you're there all the time, all the way, yeah. Look into your heart, Eain. You can't tell me it's not worth trying for. I can't help it, there's nothing I want more. Yeah, he'd fight for you, he'd lie for you, walk the wire for you. Yeah, he'd die for you. You know it's true. Everything he does it for you.
Okay. And as Amsen is singing and the rain is falling upon all of you, and the rumbling hasn't stopped above as it's getting very loud. It's almost starting to hurt to hear as Amsen struggles to sing over that noise. Amsen, go ahead and make a performance check. At disadvantage.
Oh boy.
Currently exhausted.
That's good. Please roll better. I hate you. 7.
So as Amsen finishes his song and the glowing of the bracelet grows brighter, and eventually it shatters the diamond within it, as well as the bracelet that Ellory offered and the prayer book all seem to dissipate into glowing energy as it swirls all around. And as it does, swirling over Ball, there's a very loud crack of thunder. Suddenly everyone's ears are ringing and are effectively deaf for a moment. And as you kind of look around to see the swirling of energy, there's a beautiful contrast of stillness and silence that you cannot hear, and the crashing of waves and the rain dancing in the wind and the rolling clouds against the sky above. Now, if everyone could just turn off their sound, we'll do a reverse whisper except for Ball. I'll give you 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 seconds to get that, and I'll put in the chat when we turn back on. So Ball, as you're in this darkness and you see the moth and is slowly guiding you on your path, you hear a great crack of thunder open up. And above you feel a torrent of rain that falls down. The rumbling seems to shake and shape the rain into vague figures and shapes. You hear their whispers and their offerings. As you hear these noises and these offerings of whispers as the rain dances and shapes, you see as it final crack, as the rain suddenly stops and the thunder grows silent, you see the final shape coalesce into glowing white and silver energy to your left, and you see the floating, flying, fluttering, green, blue, glowing moth to your right. You see the moth is beckoning you on your path, and you see the spark of life to your left, and you have to choose.
Yeah, I think Ball will go towards the light.
As you go towards the light and reach out for it, as you reach for it, there's a sudden widening of the bright light as it expands and blinds you for a moment. And as the thunder cracks and leaves you deaf for a moment, the waves are violently thrashing about the storm. As you see, the rain is slowed down its pouring. As you look down upon Ball, unmoving for a moment. Another moment passes. You can see the rune upon his chest flicker for a moment. From underneath his armor. It flickers again, and you see that orangish color begin to glow through the cracks of his armor. You see light. Ball, you hear first rumbling above. You hear the sounds of rain clattering upon the stone around you and upon your face. As you feel the rain upon your cheeks, slowly blinking, seeing the water fall down. As the rest of you see him blinking his eyes open again.
Vesper is really bad at this not moving thing, and she tries to go to him again.
Okay. You try your best to move towards Ball. I say you can get to him. Okay. Someone helps you. You get up to him.
I hug him as tight as I can.
I'll join in.
Me too.
You all pile into a group hug.
Don't you ever do that again. Either of us. That was fucking horrible.
I should be the one lecturing both of you. Alright, fine, I'll do it. Don't you ever do that again, please.
Okay.
I think Ball just kind of takes a deep breath and doesn't actually respond, just takes a deep breath and kind of takes it in.
I say, welcome home, both of you.
Ball, you have a home.
You see Ball kind of look to you and just kind of gives you what looks like a nod, like maybe half a nod, and just kind of looks back down again.
Say, he's right, in giant.
As you all are kind of piled on Ball and kind of saying these words, you see King Cold, who's kind of standing at the edge, step forward, expectantly looking at you to move.
I don't move. Even if I could.
Okay, he grabs the back of your leg and just drags you a foot away from
Don't
Ball.
fucking touch
so
me.
you get to him.
I'm gonna try and kick at him. Fuck this dude.
Make an attack at disadvantage.
Hell yeah.
As he begins reaching towards his axe.
Or the strength or dex or...
What? Oh, this is strength based.
Okay,
Yeah,
fucking 4.
you try to kick at him, and like you're not even sure. Maybe you scuffed his boot. He doesn't. He ignores you and doesn't even realize or acknowledge that you're attacking him. As he moves up towards the Ball and kind of grabs the top of his armor, kind of
Can I
pulls him up, leaning up
Stand in
towards.
the way, kind of.
You can
Oh,
try
yeah.
to.
I
You
want
can
to get
try
in
to.
his way, and if he gets any closer, I'm gonna shock him.
Okay. He begins moving towards Ball.
Okay, then I'm gonna shock and grasp him.
Jesus. Okay.
I know it's stupid. I know it's
And we're
stupid.
gonna
Make-
die all over
Make
again.
it whatever. Is that an attack roll?
Yeah.
Okay. It's just a straight roll. He's not wearing any metal.
Okay. But I don't want him to get near Paul. That's good actually.
For Meli.
That's a 21.
Holy shit. Yeah, that hits.
Okay. It's 5 lightning damage, and he can't take reactions.
Okay. As King Cole begins to move forth, kind of drags Vesper, just kind of grabs her leg and pulls her back away so he can get to her. And as he kind of continues in that action, Meli, with her wand out, conjures up electrical energy and pushes it out towards King Cole as the lightning rolls over him. And for a moment, his muscles kind of convulse up. Immediately, all of the raiders, and there must be 15 to 20 of them, all draw their weapons, surrounding all of you.
You
You
know,
can see the woman with brown braided hair pulls out both of her short swords and rushes up. As you, see,
Everybody stop!
we're all getting on.
as you see King Kong kind of tense up for a moment and kind of release himself, looking over in your direction, Meli. That was very fucking stupid.
I tend to do stupid things a lot.
He attacks
I
you with the axe.
My friend.
All gonna die.
Um,
Main reaction.
that's a 17 to hit.
Yeah, that hits.
Okay. Rest this. You take 10 slashing damage.
Okay.
Well, we can't not attack now. Kalvyn has to react to that shit.
you don't.
Yeah, no.
Meli, are
yeah.
you still conscious?
I'm still conscious.
Okay, as he pulls the axe out. And as he pulls it out, he reaches his other hand towards you, and he's trying to grab you. Make an athletics check.
Okay. Get it. I didn't get it. Okay. That's a 15.
Okay, so as he grabs towards you and kind of grabs the robes on your chest and begins to just push you forward, you grab at his arms and you try to dig in and stop him, but he's too strong. As he pushes you forward, tripping over Ball and just kind of knocks you down on the ground on the other side of the Ball. Stupid fucking girl. And then turns to look down at Ball.
Hackety hack, yo. I mean, we can't not respond
Kalvyn?
to that.
Yes, we
Yeah.
can.
Are you kidding? No, yeah. I mean, Kalvyn's died for her already. He's gonna do it again.
No.
Okay.
Before you swing, Ball's gonna try to like say with whatever energy he's got left, just kind of like really like half-hearted. Stop.
Okay. As Meli lets out the electric energy, King Called responds with an axe and then pushes her away. He moves forward, standing over Bál, looking down at Bál, ignoring Meli, as you'll hear Bál say stop. But Kalvyn, what did you want to do?
I guess Kalvyn would be rushing up to attack, but if he heard Bál, he might catch himself.
Okay, so you pull your weapons out, you move forward. Do you do anything else, or you just are at the ready?
Yeah, basically preparing to strike. I'll hold an action, I guess, until things get more aggressive.
Okay. As you're moving forward, you move forward kind of almost cautiously, ready to strike if need be, as King Call kind of turns over, hearing your approach. Not aggressively, just kind of looking over his shoulder with the axe in hand.
I bow up.
You bow up, and he kind of looks over at you, and a smile kind of spreads across his face. You just came back. Do you want me to send you home to your maker again? As the raiders have kind of all stepped forward, all drawing their weapons. As Kalvyn, it looks like 3 of them are walked up behind you. Meli, 2 others grab you onto your shoulders on the ground and kind of pull you back a few feet. As a few others stand near Ellory and Amsen. There's like 5 or 6 around them.
If that's how the dice fall.
I'll try to look to Kalvyn and say, no. And then I'll look to King Call. How do you say his name?
Called. Kald. Called.
Called. Like cold, okay. I'll look to King Call and say, I have an axe to bring.
That you do. As he holds up the axe in his hand that he went for. He kind of gets down on one knee to get to your level, grabs the front of your arm and kind of pulls you up to where you're leaning up to where you can kind of see at him face to face. He holds the axe and puts it in your lap to where you can grab it with your hand. This is my father's axe. I need you to bring it to someone. Not far from here. There's an issue that needs to be resolved. A smile kind of comes across his face. Stronghold Ustax. Near the mountain. You'll find Jarl Totha Wormeye. Bring this to her. If she keeps it, I know our business is resolved. If she gives it back to you, bring it back to me. He kind of looks at you for confirmation.
How big is this axe? Is it like a 2-handed axe, or?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna try to kind of use the axe to kind of stand up.
Yeah, and as you try to do so, the axe is a simple, looks like oak or hickory handle, tall, and the axe is a bearded axe, so it kind of comes down on one side down. Looks like steel, and upon the axe head are various engravings of giant runes, kind of marked all on the sides. At the bottom, there's leather wrapped around the base, and from it dangling are various like bones and baubles and other little things tied into the base. As you try to use it to get to your feet, your movement is actually 0, and you try to, and you kind of slip back down. As King Call kind of stands back up, folding his arms. The rain is kind of slowed down to just a trickle as he looks down at you. He kind of throws back the hood, revealing his wild, long blonde hair and this silver or platinum, you're not sure which, crown upon his head. You can see there's 5 heads or spikes. Each one of these spikes is made up of what looks like a dragon's head with an open mouth pointing forward, with the center one being the largest one. And in the mouth, you see some sort of what looks like a diamond, a pretty large diamond on his crown on his head.
I'm going to say, I'll look to him and I'll say, it will be done. And then with my runic weapon, I want to kind of like breathe into my hand and then kind of extend it out as like a handshake. So kind of like heat my hand up with my fire runic weapon and then extend like as if to be kind of like, like a spit shake.
Okay. Yeah, so you draw upon that runic power, releasing the flames in a somewhat controlled manner, not as dangerous as you normally would with a full-out battle cry, but you release a little bit of flames into your hand. They kind of tickle and burn just a little bit as you reach out your hand. He kind of looks down at it.
I kind of imagine it like, like when you get, if you're like holding a match and you get like the black soot or black whatever, like I imagine like that's on my hand. And that would be kind of the equivalent of the spit.
Ash, that's upon your hand. And he reaches down, he grabs your forearm so that your hand is wrapped around his. And he kind of grabs it and kind of nods at you before releasing.
I try to squeeze when he does. Like, I know I'm very weak, but I try to give him like a strong half-round shake.
Make a athletics check. At disadvantage because you're exhausted. You squeeze as hard as you can, but and your hand is large and wraps around a good portion of his arm, but he's a big human. For a human, he's pretty big. You try to squeeze as best as you can, and a smile kind of at the corner of his mouth pulls up as you release. He turns around to the crowd of raiders and wanderers and kind of just raises his hands in the air and kind of just lowers them a little bit, kind of pointing for them to lower their weapons as well. Immediately, the other raiders kind of lower their weapons. They're still in their hands, but they do lower them as King Cald turns and walks back into the tent, followed by the woman with the braided brown hair. Eventually, the raiders kind of follow in behind him. A few stay to kind of keep an eye on you all, but a good portion of the raiders go back into the tent with King Cald as Voyage and Varys and Lysander and the rest of you are out on the stock area. What would you like to do?
I think I would like to cry some more. What do I roll for that?
Yeah, can I roll for crying?
You can just do that.
Oh, okay, great. It's a free action.
It's a at-will cantrip ability.
Awesome.
Calvin's gonna check on Meli, make sure she's alright.
Thank you, though.
You can see Meli has a decent-sized gash on her, but nothing too crazy.
It's pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie.
At second glance, it's pretty bad. She's not gonna lie.
Bring her over here. I can help. Bring me my stuff.
I think maybe you should let your dad do it. You can't walk.
I don't walk on my hands, and it's fine. Here.
I'll walk over to Vesper.
I'll take through my stuff. If you want to take a short rest, I can do my healing ability. All I got. Just do basic first aid on her, I guess.
I just want to hold her hand as well, once we've done that.
Okay. And you kind of have to come to her for her to be able to do anything, but...
I just want to look over at Bál and see how he's holding up.
You're all right there at each other.
I think Bál's just kind of sitting there with his head down. Maybe he's just kind of inspecting the axe, kind of just looking it over.
Well, pops up Lysander. That went well. He kind of like tries to smile. He looks at you.
Lysander.
Yes?
On behalf of all of us, can I say that I'm sorry?
You certainly can say it, and I can say fuck you as well.
That's fine. I expected that.
He kind of squints at you a little bit. And it's unsettling because the rest of him is normal, so you're not expecting his eyes to be so weird. And it's always unsettling when you meet his gaze. Vespa, I think we should get you back on.
Yeah, probably.
And Varys does kind of put his hand upon yours, and you do heal up 15 hit points. You're still exhausted and can't move, but
I'm a fool.
He goes over to... Is Meli still wounded?
Yeah.
Varys kind of waves you over. Not great. And heals you up 7 hit points. As Lysander looks over to the rest of you. And as Varys kind of lifts Vesper up and kind of throws her over the back of his shoulder. Lysander, well, fuck you all. We're going home. Varys, before he follows Lysander off, kind of moves over as Stormdreamer, the Tiefling, kind of comes up. As he kind of wraps his, he has you over a stone arm, and with his other arm, he kind of wraps around her for kind of a half hug. And she kind of places her forehead onto his for a moment. She releases. And Varys will basically, unless someone objects, will take Vesper, home.
Do I know where Bál has been staying? Because I imagine he's not at the orphanage anymore at this point.
No, probably not. Bál, where have you been staying? In the woods?
It's a good question.
He's like,
I guess I never really thought about it.
I assume near your punching tree, but I don't know exactly where you would stay.
Yeah, I think that makes sense for Bál. Like Bál spent a lot of his life living in the woods, or like living outside of a town. So living just outside the town is something that's comfortable for him.
And Stormdreamer, if you helped out at all with basic just lifting and moving things, would offer you could stay in the temple in the ship. And Varys would also, with you helping with the roof and stuff, would offer you, a cot to sleep on if you preferred. But you could certainly just stay in the woods if you wanted to.
Yeah, so I'd say I definitely stay in the woods, and then on occasion when something's offered to me, I might stay elsewhere. For a night or two, but mainly it's
in the woods.
Right.
Yeah. So you probably have some idea that he stays where he stays.
We need to get you somewhere where you can rest.
Bál,
try to stay.
Bál, if you want to stay at my place, it's open.
It's okay. I have somewhere to stay.
Okay. Sure.
Do you need help getting there?
I think this is where Bál will try to stand up again. Maybe using the axe again to help.
You try with the axe, but again you don't get all the way up, and you kind of slide back down.
Kalvyn will rush in to try to help him up.
Okay. And Kalvyn, you can kind of help him sort of get to his feet. And he doesn't seem to really be able to hold his weight up. With you there, you can kind of keep him under your shoulder and help him, if Bál accepts, gets him where he wants to go.
Yeah, I don't think I can really object too much.
Okay. Bál, do you lead them or direct them to where you normally stay in the woods?
Yeah, where my punching bag tree is.
Okay. So Varys and Lysander take Vesper back to the alchemy shop as well as their home upstairs for her to rest. Kalvyn is helping Bál. Are the rest of you going with them or going to your own respective homes? Or?
I'm going with them. I'm going to suggest that we take the cart again. Make this easier on all of us.
Yeah, we could do that.
Kalvyn will look at Bál, but if he doesn't say anything, he's not gonna stop.
Yeah, Bál's not very talkative.
Yeah, then he just goes.
Okay. So Kalvyn, you kind of help Bál down the stairs past the horse and cart, continuing to slowly move through the city. Ellory, if you move with him, you do. Eventually coming outside of the city into the woods to Bál your tree and whatever small setup you might have outside of the woods. You guys kind of realize it's going to take probably near a week, at least several days to kind of recuperate and get back to your normal. But you can do so. Do you guys want to just kind of take that week of mostly rest as you're doing this?
Yeah, I think there are a couple of things that I would want to do while we were all recovering.
Or this could be like a semi-downtime and you can try whatever things you want to do. Vesper, were you trying to do something?
Yeah, as soon as I can walk again. I think Vesper's been resting. It's mostly light activity because I think every time she starts to fall asleep, it's like that thing where you feel like you're falling and you sit up,
You can walk the next day.
Okay.
Half speed, but you can do it.
Yeah, I just think she's having a hard time sleeping, even if she's exhausted. And I think as soon as she can walk, I kind of want to go see Dia.
Dia, okay.
Yeah.
So you'll go see Dia for one of your we'll say downtime type rest. What else do the rest of you want to do? It's going to have to be pretty light for Vesper and Bál, but the others of you are more open to more active things if you want to do anything in particular.
I want to go visit Amsen the next morning.
Okay, going to visit Amsen. Bál, are you just recuperating, or did you have anything?
Yeah, I think recuperating.
Okay. And then Kalvyn, Meli, did y'all have anything in particular?
Staying at home with the fam.
Okay.
That night I want to ask Ellory if I could maybe stay at hers and borrow some clothes, because mine are covered in blood and I do not want to go home with that. And then I also want to visit Kalvyn at some point.
So when Meli asks me that, I am going to give her kind of a half surprised, half confused look and say, so are we good then?
Why wouldn't we be good?
Well, I wasn't exactly expecting the kind of welcome that I got from everyone, but you were the only one who weren't there the day I got out. I
want to give Ellory a hug and just say, we are good.
Okay.
So, Meli, you stay with Ellory, with Ellory in the Copper Sail Tavern, borrowing some of her basic clothes. Let's see, in the morning, Ellory was going to go talk to Amsen, and Vesper was going to go talk to Dia. Okay. Mm-hmm. So we'll say, Vesper, you limp to the fort, Rothburn Rook, sort of in the center of town through the gates, towards where Dia and her... she's actually in one of the towers, and on the bottom floor, there's a smokestack coming out where the forge is. You're going to go in there, and in that courtyard is where you trained with her, so you know where she is. She's inside fixing armor and sharpening swords. As you come in, she has a whetstone across one.
I think I just wait until she notices I'm there.
She immediately, when you open the door, she looks up at you and continues to sharpen.
Did Varys tell you?
Aye.
Can I sit down?
She kind of gestures towards a small stool.
I'll go sit and I'm still kind of holding my wound.
You can tell she's looking over at it, kind of squinting her eyes at it as she's sharpening the blade.
I don't want that to happen again. Ever. And I'm scared that Varys won't be hard enough on me. I need your help to train me better.
She kind of stops sharpening the blade. We spent years training.
It wasn't good enough. I wasn't strong enough or fast enough or, I don't know, clever enough. I didn't have it in me to stop what happened. Bál died. I let Bál die. I wasn't good enough, and I'm not going to let that happen again, and I need your help because no one else is going to go hard enough on me.
As hard as I could go on you, life will always be harder. She kind of leans her neck up for the first time. She has never really tried to be visible with it. It's the first time she's ever really been visible with it. You see the scar across her throat, where her throat clearly was slit at some point. Life's hard. You can train. You can wear better armor and sharpen your sword. But at the end of the day, sometimes it's luck, sometimes it's faith. That's not something I can train you in.
So what do I do? You're the only one I know who's been here, who's been there. Besides Bál, and I don't know if he wants to talk. He never does.
I'm proud of where I came from, but not where I am. Not why I'm here.
What do you mean?
I left a lot of people. I disappointed. I let down a lot of people. In my home. You can do better.
I know. I have to.
Varys says your faith is about falling, about redeeming oneself. Search that.
Okay. Can I help you at all around here? It's a bit of a walk.
At first she kind of looks almost disappointed, and then she kind of looks around and she's like, yeah, fine, hold this. And she kind of basically finds a task for you to do, because she knows you're not good at this stuff like Kalvyn is, but she finds you something to hold while she stretches leather or something.
Okay.
And as you're working with her on that, Ellory and Kalvyn, is that? Or Amsen?
Yeah, I was going to go visit Amsen.
Someone. Okay. So you go visit Amsen.
And I guess I'm going to his house.
Yeah.
So is his dog there? I'm assuming so.
Well, I guess since you guys walked, the horse is outside, the cart is returned, and yeah, I'm hanging out with my dog in my house.
And you can see as you approach to the house, Donovan, his father, is working hard. You can see a pile of weapons and armor, dented and half shattered and broken, and he's repairing a lot of weapons right now and armor. But you can go in, seeing Amsen is playing with his dog.
I'm gonna kind of look nervously at the dog.
Ah, Ellory.
Hey, are you keeping that thing?
Kind of look at the dog. Yeah. I mean, I don't know where it came from because I'm not. I have no idea. I mean, it's as alive as any other dog, it looks like.
I'm not sure that reassures me at all.
Well, if it's any reassurance, I've already named him. So he's staying.
Great. Well, I guess it did help save all of us, so I can make allowances for that.
Yeah, I kind of feel bad for the other one, though. But hey.
There was another one?
Yeah, well, and I guess I'll actually show you the robe. For you, it just looks like a normal piece of clothing. And just like, this robe has patches all over it, and each one summons something different. And as part of this one of them was that I could summon 2 dogs. And so I saw that everybody needed a lot of help, and I didn't want to fight alone, so I summoned 2 dogs. And the other one was cut down by the Gullah, but this one survived.
I very tentatively and awkwardly reach out and pet the dog on the head.
The dog's a good dog. You have nothing to worry about. I think he knows that you're part of the people that I call my allies, my friends, so.
I'll just have to trust you on that. So, I actually came to ask you a favor.
Yeah?
I was going to ask you 2 favors, but I think one of them is...
You can ask them both.
Well, I don't really need the other one anymore.
Oh, why not?
I was going to ask you to go to Meli's house and invite her to the library on my behalf so I could talk to her, but I got the chance to do that last night, so...
Oh, okay. What's the other thing you need?
I don't know. I've been wanting to ask you ever since I came back, and it just seems... It doesn't seem very important now, but it might be at some point. So, I need some scrap metal. And I figured the son of a blacksmith would be the best person to ask. The problem is, 2 problems. 1, I'm not so sure how your dad feels about me right now. If Varys was any indication, even before everything happened, he wasn't terribly happy to see me. So I don't know if going to your dad directly would be a great idea. The other problem is I am dead broke. So I can pay you back as soon as I have a little money, or I can do a favor for you if there's something you need that I can do. But I don't need much.
All right. Well, I'll tell you this much. My father is not Vesper's father. And I'm not sure if it's because of my own rebelliousness, but my father, whenever I get in trouble at the very least, he lectures me. He warns me. But ultimately he leaves it to my decision-making skills. And so I don't think that he would hate or even think less of you. But I know that probably if you go to him, you'll get a talking to first, but he won't hold it against you too much. He's stern, but he's forgiving. That being said, money is an entirely different issue.
Yeah.
I assume that scrap metal wouldn't be that expensive, even if it is worth anything. So in that regard, I can definitely help you. What do you need it for, anyways? You can tell me. If there's anybody in our friends group that you can tell me.
True. See, this is why I didn't go to Kalvyn, because he's already made it pretty clear what he thinks of this topic.
Okay.
I want to be able to make more lockpicks if I need them.
Just nod a few times. Yeah, all right. I understand. Tell you what, I'll help you get them on one condition.
Yeah?
Please don't let it end up in a circumstance where Vesper has to give blood again.
I don't plan on it.
You only plan to get yourself in trouble, not everybody else.
Honestly, maybe at some point, but what I want these for is not to get myself into trouble, but for all of you to have something to get yourselves out of trouble if you ever need it.
All right. I can get behind that. Sure. We'll get you some resources.
Thanks.
Okay.
I'll try not to get into too much trouble.
If you ever need any help with anything else, just let me know.
I will.
All right. And so as you kind of ask Donovan about it, he makes a sarcastic joke about diving into more death trap pits again. But he has a lot of scrap from weapons that are too far broken to fix. And he doesn't dig too much into what you're looking to use it for, but for your purposes, you don't need very much. And for maybe 2 silver, you can get a nice bit of it.
Okay.
For one silver less. And I mean, you could go down to as low as maybe 5 copper to get very little, maybe one's worth. But if you do a silver or 2, you get probably 5 to 10's worth of metal.
Yeah, I'll get I'll spend 2 silver. That's nothing off my back.
Okay, so that's probably worth enough to get. Ellory, you're guessing anywhere from 8 to 10 lockpicks if you don't waste any of the metal and you do it right the first time. So you have a decent amount of metal.
Okay.
It looks like basic like iron, but you got that. Were there any other scenes throughout this next week as everyone's kind of recuperating? Or do y'all just spend time recuperating, talking with family and the like?
I want us to visit Kalvyn.
Okay. Do you visit him at his home outside of town?
Do I know where he lives?
You could probably ask around and get some directions, some vague directions.
Okay. Try and find his house.
Okay. You ask around. You're pointed every time Kalvyn leaves the gates. It's been a while, but every time he left the gates, the Covenant saw him and he walked the same trail. And you can follow it and you actually see where it's a well-worn trail. It's not very wide, but you can see where a singular person went back and forth a good amount of times. Though it's kind of overgrown now, but you can kind of follow it down.
Are there flowers on the way?
Are there flowers?
Yeah. Can I pick some flowers if there are flowers on the way?
Make either a survival or a perception check. You're looking around for flowers.
7.
7?
Yeah.
You look around looking for flowers. It's mostly underbrush and trees. You do notice there is a vine climbing sort of a taller part of a tree that does look like there's small, looks like whitish flowers on them.
Can I pick them?
Give me an athletics check. Where we can get them.
Ooh, that's a 1. Not a natural 1, but a 1.
You reach up and try to grab at the vine. You pull the kind of bottom part down, and it comes a little loose, but there's still flowers up, kind of at the top, and you weren't able to grab some.
Then I shall quickly give up on this endeavor and just carry on.
You could, if you stop for maybe 10 minutes or so, you could eventually get a flower, but otherwise, if you didn't want to wait that long, you can skip it.
Sure. Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay, so you take a good solid 10 minutes jumping, trying to grab it, and eventually you pull the vine down and you have very pretty flowers, and the inside is almost red. You can see the inside, but the rest of the flowers are white on this vine. Very small, maybe the size of a penny, maybe smaller. And there's maybe 10 to 12 of them on this cord of vine you have.
All right, as I'm walking, I'm just going to pick them off the vine. So I just have a bunch of flowers.
Okay. All right. So you have about 10 flowers in your hand as you're walking along.
Okay.
And you eventually get towards where you see a house, a simple log house, thatch wood. You see a basic wooden fence around. You see crops. You see a few individuals. They're out there. Some of them are plowing, trying to clear away some of the snow. Another one is chopping firewood outside. And Kalvyn, what are you doing?
I imagine Kalvyn is just doing whatever there is to do. It's winter, so there's not a whole lot for doing outside other than taking care of whatever animals and I guess chopping wood. So.
Yeah, you're probably one chopping wood then. And so you see Kalvyn kind of out there slinging the big axe maul over his shoulder.
Okay. I'll walk up to him, like, fairly obviously, so I can get his attention.
Yeah, you see him.
So we can see.
You see each other.
Okay, and then as soon as we make eye contact, I'll just sort of hold the flowers out. And I'll be like, these are for you, because when Amsen visited me, he brought me flowers, so I thought it was a nice thing to do, so these are for you.
Oh, thank you kindly. I do appreciate that.
Okay.
He smells him.
Does he like keel over? Are they poisoned?
Kalvyn, make a nature check.
Oh yeah,
Make a con
nature.
check.
That's really good. Except I don't think I add anything. Nope, that's -1, so that's a 15.
15. You've been on this trail enough and know these woods fairly well. You know these flowers have an oil on them that kind of make you break out in a rash.
I hold them at a distance and just kind of thank you. That's right sweet of you. Do appreciate, much obliged. And he kind of just like holds them out, trying not to be offensive, but at the same time, just like kind of like this is a dangerous weapon, and he's not. It's a viper head, and he's like, I don't want it near me.
Sorry. I just wanted to say thank you. Every time I do something stupid, you kind of seem to save me, so I just wanted to say thank you.
Oh, well, shucks. We're just try to look after all of you guys. You guys mean a lot to me, so you too, you especially.
Okay. Well, that was all. I just wanted to say thank you. So thank you, and I have fun with your chopping.
I mean, it's a kind of a long trek back to town. You want to come inside for some tea or something?
It's like an hour.
Okay.
Get warmed up?
Sure. Tea sounds good.
Okay, let me just find a spot for these.
And kind of walks around the house to where he just I'll be right back, and then just kind of like looks around and is like okay, let's just hide these things.
Just stuffing under stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
And a bear him come back. All right.
Come on in.
Okay. And you'll enter into the quaint home with the hearth fire burning. And Kalvyn, you can set her up. Your mother and father know a little bit about very basic alchemy, and your father distilling his spirits. So there are some herbs for tea brewing, as y'all can make some tea. Chatting before Meli goes back. Is there anything else y'all kind of wanted to chat about as you're sitting down having your tea?
Nothing I can think of.
Okay. Yeah, you'll just kind of shoot the shit, have some tea. About towards the end of it, Meli, you start to realize suddenly that you're like itching your hand a lot, and you see down and like there's red marks over your wrist, especially on your fingertips, and you're just kind of itching them a lot.
Would we have any ointment or anything for that?
Oh, your mother might have something.
I go whisper to her and just kind of be like, hold on one second, and then just kind of go and ask her to help out in this awkward situation.
I'm just going to hide my hand.
She's like, yeah, Fruity was in some about a week ago. And she goes and gets, she has some stuff prepared, and she has a small vial. Half of it's gone, but she gives it to you to bring out.
Yeah, guess Kalvyn will bring it out and just...
yeah, this, sometimes when you pick some of these flowers, they get back at you, for picking them. So, here, try this. Try some of this on there. That should clear it right up.
The flowers did this?
Well, it's, yeah, kinda. There's, it's nothing to worry about. It's just, some plants you don't want to touch, and they're pretty, but they got a bite. So.
But if you apply the lotion, the stinging and tingling and itching goes away immediately. The rash doesn't, but the sensation does immediately go away. And so as you do that, and eventually you'll shoot the shit a bit more before heading back, walking home. And as you're doing this, the next few days pass. Each day everyone gets a little bit better, including Vesper and Bál. It takes a few more days to get by. You're a little faster the second day. You feel a little more hardy. Your wounds healing up the next. You're able to kind of move a little quicker, swinging your weapons and feeling a little more hardy. And towards the end of this week, everyone feels as healthy as they were, but even healthier, stronger, having gotten through this, surviving this incident, as all of you are level 2.
Yeah.
I have to go now, finally. So,
Meli collects the loot and then just
I just level up and then I fuck off.
Before Meli goes at the end of the week, if it hasn't been Marble Winery time yet, Vesper's going to kind of have everyone over for like a brunch.
Oh.
If that's all right. Before you leave. Okay. I don't know that you guys have really seen her much over the week. She's kind of been just getting better. And so I think over catching up a little bit, she kind of eventually brings the conversation to why she wanted you all to come. I was wondering, actually, Bál, if you wanted to come with me. I know the rest of you have your own obligations and responsibilities. But soon, I don't know when exactly, but soon, I'm going to Nymonet. And I'm going to take my vows properly. And become a properly ordained cleric of Aiain.
Well, yeah, if you want us to come to that, absolutely. We kind of have to, don't we?
I mean, last time we went out, we all almost died, so...
We'll be more careful this time.
If you
Speaking
want
of,
to.
is this at her house?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm almost positive, like, some of us are not allowed in. And I don't even think Kalvyn would try.
Oh, what?
Like, screw
I probably
that.
would
We
have
saw the
waited
dirty looks.
until... Well, I probably would have waited until my dads were not home.
Hey, sneak in for some tea, guys.
Lysander's always home, because the home is also the business.
Right, but when Varys is not home...
We could have it at someone else's house.
We could have it at the sale, but...
There is always the sale, yes.
Wherever we're having it, yeah. She brings us up. So it's up to you. I don't know when I'm leaving. I'll give you all a date, but I'm going either by myself or with some of you, or I have to do this. I have to make this pilgrimage.
Yeah.
Where is it?
North, I want to say. Klouse.
It's
north if you're right.
I'll say anyone who's trained in religion would know this, and y'all can easily communicate this as well. It's a long way away. It's across the Sea of Orn, and then further across the Sea of Storms beyond that, and then further beyond the entire continent of the Ainel Forest, up towards the north into the Spine of the World area. If you imagine you're somewhere near Washington, D.C., it's in Russia somewhere, in Western Russia. It would be a month at least. It's a long journey.
What about the stronghold where Bál's supposed to return the axe to?
You probably throughout this week could have asked around to where kind of that is, and you might have a vague idea of where that mountain is. But it's probably a week's travel, depending on how fast you are. If you have horses, you might could cut it down to 3 or 4 days, but probably somewhere 5 or 6 days northwest of you.
Okay, so nowhere near Russia, kind of thing.
Oh, no. Just northwest inland by about 5 or 6 days.
Okay. In that case, recognizing that this isn't just like a weekend trip, Bál will say, I have to return the axe.
All right. We can do that first. You don't have to come with me if you don't feel you need to. But Bál, we fell in the most pure and total sense of the word. We died and we came back to life. And if that's not redemption of some kind, that's not rising from the bottom. It means something to me and I need to go. But you don't have to come with me.
I'll be there.
So, yeah, just let me know, I suppose. I can make the arrangements. I haven't told my dads yet.
I'm sure they'll be thrilled.
They might be.
Well,
at the very least, they'll understand. Has Varys made the trek before?
Yes.
Then
a long time ago.
He'll understand, I'm sure.
I'm not sure Varys or Lysandra would be happy with us coming with you.
Well, I can't go alone.
Yeah. Who else is going to go with her? Yeah. Who else would go with her anyways?
Yeah, no one else likes me here.
Well, that's not what I meant, but...
I know.
Amsen, that's not very nice.
That's not what I said, Kalvyn.
You're so good with the compliments, Amsen.
Yeah, well...
Like I said, I don't know when I'm leaving, but I'll tell you. And either way.
I'm guessing this is the sort of trip that might take some time to arrange.
Yeah, probably. Make sure we have enough supplies, passageway on ships, and all sorts of things. So.
Can I bring my dog?
Absolutely.
I don't think
maybe I'm not going.
Hey, he's not that bad. Besides, he's my
dog. He smells better than Kalvyn does.
Oh.
Hey now. I don't have to come if you don't want me to.
Amsen writes that one down.
Of course I want you to come along, Kalvyn, if you can. I know you've got your training. They're expecting you back or something.
I was told they'd let me know when they need me. So, until then, I'm yours.
Well, it's a month, so I must say, at least one way, probably. Hopefully they don't need you for anything pressing.
Shoulders.
Meli?
Yeah, of course. I'll come.
Are you going to be allowed to?
I was just thinking I may... I've lied to my parents in the past.
We're such a terrible influence.
Yeah.
She doesn't even fight it. She's like, yeah.
There's no denying it. We are terrible influence on her.
I think I need to talk to you and Bál before I make any decisions.
Sure. Privately, I'm guessing? Not right now?
Yeah.
I'll hang around after lunch.
Ditto. I'll help with the cleaning, I guess.
Yeah, that's totally what I was thinking.
Okay. So you'll finish your brunch up unless there's anything else. At some point during the week, and you can pull them aside afterwards if you want.
Thank you.
As Meli goes back to her studying. Okay. Bye, Meli.
Bye.
Bye, Kate.
Next week.
So it's just Bál and Ellory. As Kalvyn and Amsen go do something, I assume.
Shit, I don't know how to talk about this. I want to tell you both something. I had this plan. And looking back on it, it seems like a really stupid plan. But I don't feel like I can lie to you about it now. Maybe I wouldn't have been able to anyway. You know how I asked to visit the temple before we left?
Mm-hmm.
I was going to, I guess, pretend to find faith, or whatever you want to call it.
Why? Why would you pretend to find faith if it's not your path?
Everybody kept saying this one word that stuck in my head. This word, mistake. Talking about how I had made a mistake. I had just made a mistake. I'd do better next time, etc., etc. And I don't really know what I was thinking. Maybe I thought that if I pretended to be changing my ways, everybody would stop talking about it. Or people would stop suspecting that I was up to something, which people tend to already do anyway. Not necessarily all of you, but other people. I don't know, like I said, it was a stupid plan.
I'm sorry I made you feel that way. I was trying to help. I didn't realize. I didn't think of it.
It wasn't you. It was just... If it had just been you that said it, or just Amsen who said it, or just any one person, it wouldn't have fazed me. But I kept hearing the same thing. And I kept thinking, well, breaking that lockpick was a mistake. And letting my magic get out of control, that was a mistake. Not getting to the window fast enough to get out, that was a mistake. But going into that house in the first place, that never felt like a mistake. That just felt like doing what I'm supposed to do. That doesn't really matter now. But I did realize that I can't lie to you, to either of you, about something like this. Maybe I could lie to the others, but not to the two of you. And I don't know what that means for going with you on a pilgrimage.
When I said I didn't expect any of you to come, it wasn't me trying to be polite. It wasn't me also trying to guilt you or be passive-aggressive. I meant it. I don't expect you to come with me if you don't want to come. I know most people who follow the gods try and preach and draw people in, but we all have our own paths, and not all of ours are divine. Not all of ours are sanctified. If you don't feel comfortable, Ellory, I won't hold it against you. I won't think any less of you. I won't love you any less as my friend. You can stay if it's not right for you.
I want to go with you. I just don't know. I don't know. I want to go with you because it's you going.
And that's all the reason you need. You don't have to go for your own pilgrimage. You don't have to go for anything than to get out of this fucking town for the first time in our lives. and see the world. You can go for any number of reasons. It doesn't have to be wholly for you.
You know, I don't know how to say this. I think there's a part of me that hoped that I would find faith. That maybe if I faked it, I would find something real. But when I was down there, down in the darkness, I don't know, it just feels so arbitrary. Why does it seem to work sometimes and not other times? Is it because there's something wrong with me? Is it because Ayin isn't as strong as you would think a goddess would be? Is it because there's a small part of me that wonders if she was doing something, it was just not what I wanted? Or it wasn't the way that I expected. But I don't know. You know, there's a part of me that wants to go back down there.
Why? Why in a million years?
It's a part of me that wants to go back down there and burn them all out. And I look at Bál at this point. I don't think that's the right thing to do. But there's still a pretty big fucking part of me that wants that.
I also look to Bál.
I think during this whole time, like, Bál's like quietly washing the dishes while you guys are talking, and then when you guys look to Bál, like, I mean, I know they don't have like the 21st century faucets, but just kind of work with me here, right? So like, like Bál just
there's a big bucket of water. Yeah, you're in the kitchen. There's a big bucket of water.
Okay, well, what I mean is like Bál, like I imagine Bál like kind of takes his whatever scrubber that he's using to wash the dishes, puts it down, like turns off the faucet, but in this case there is no faucet, so like, I don't know, puts down the bucket, and just I guess looks to both of you and says, whatever you decide, I'll be there.
Ellory, can I ask you a question? And if you don't have an answer, you don't have to bullshit one.
All right.
Even though you're great at bullshitting answers. Why do you want to find faith? What is it about it that makes you want it?
I don't know. I'm not sure I really want it that much. It isn't like this. I think it's mostly that I see how the two of you both find something in it. And I want to understand what that is.
It's different for everyone. I was raised this way. I was raised with her teachings, with the knowledge that if I asked, she'd always be there. With, I hesitate. Is Lysander's downstairs, or we're not at my house, right?
I think you're in the copper sale.
Okay. You know, Varys used to say she treats her followers like a mother does. And I think a part of me kind of latched onto that. I don't know. For me, maybe it is arbitrary, and maybe there are reasons, and I don't think we can understand it, or she wouldn't be a goddess, and we wouldn't have faith. We would just know. But I've always had faith in her, like you might have faith in the floor. It's there, and it's going to catch me when I fall, and I don't even think about it. And I think I wasn't thinking about it, and it was just a part of me, and I didn't think about it. until the cave. Until I really was the lowest I could ever be. And then I died. I died, and now I'm sitting here, and I think that was a calling. You know, Bál has his glowing symbols, and we all have these things where she saves us, and everyone has these grand stories, like Ferris, and I never had any of that. I just followed. And this is the first time I feel like it matters, like I really matter, and I'm not just following, and I'm not just going through the motions, and I'm not just doing what I was taught. This is the first time I feel like she's seen me.
I hug Vesper.
Yeah, I hug her back. So I have to do this, and like I said, you can think about it, and you can come, or you can stay, and you don't have to think about it the same way I'm thinking about it. I don't expect anyone else to get anything spiritual out of this if they're not looking for that.
And as you'll share the hug and those words, Amsen and Kalvyn are outside sharing some scrap food with the dog. Are you just shooting the shit or doing anything?
No, I think we're just playing with my dog.
Okay, yeah. You feed him a little bit, toss a bone back and forth, have a good time.
You guys suck.
Girls are crying again. Everyone else is just...
good gosh. Yeah, so you guys finish up your lunch, and the rest of the week passes. Everyone feels hearty, alive again, and you guys meet up at some point, probably at the Copper Sale, to decide what you guys want to do next.
Yeah.
When is my invitation to the winery supposed to happen though? Because it has been almost 2 weeks.
It's been about there wasn't like a set date. It was more of just an open invitation.
Oh, okay.
For you to contact them.
Is everyone? I mean, we just had that long scene, so I don't want to commandeer, but I think as soon as I'm feeling better and the scar fades to something a little easier to hide, I'd want to go.
Okay.
Sorry, Michael. You're sitting there.
Are you going to go by yourself?
Yeah, they said I can. I mean, Bál's allowed to escort me to the door, and that's what they said I was able to do. So if he's down for that, I want people to know that's where I am that night, just in case something goes weird.
Okay. Well, we'll say this happens after you guys figure out what you're doing. After that, like the night of or something, so that we can figure out so the group can be together and do a thing.
Yeah,
together as a group. So you are together in the Copper Sale. Vesper, I assume, is in her nicest clothes she has, which aren't super nice, but they're much nicer than what she is normally, her everyday gear.
If she wants, I can lend her my coat.
Yeah.
So, all right. So for the night, you can change it to any color, any look you want, but it needs to be a coat.
Perfect. Something long and black and sleek with like silver embroidery. Like immediately as soon as she pulls it on.
You put on the coat, it changes. Beautiful. Extravagant. Exquisite.
Thank you, Amsen.
I hope you have a lot of fun. Enjoy yourself. It's not often you get to party with the bigwigs, the richest of the rich.
Kalvyn.
Huh?
How have you been? You've been outside the city. I haven't really seen you much.
Oh, just doing pretty good. Just spending time with the family. Don't get to see them too much nowadays.
Well, I'm glad everyone's well. Does my hair look okay?
Your hair looks...
Just hold on a sec. And he reaches up and ruffles it.
Oh, she had this like really nice like updo, like Aubrey Hepburn, Breakfast at Tiffany shit going on. She's like,
perfect.
Thank you very much. Smooth it.
How many nights has it been since we...
This is the 6th day.
The 6th day.
Since the resurrections.
Okay. So, with my lockpick feature, since we hit level 2, I would be able to make 2 per night. Or 2 per day. And you said I could get...
give me the skill check for it.
Okay.
Using dexterity and your proficiency.
Okay, let's see how this goes.
Just for doing all of them.
16.
Okay, yeah, that's good enough. You, I'll say you get probably like 9 of them. So you,
okay.
You could probably, you maybe could have squeezed one more out of it, but you had to work with it a couple times and it got really brittle, the scrap, but you did get almost all of it out of it. So you got 9 pretty good lockpicks.
Okay. So what I'm going to do, while Vesper is trying to fix her hair, I'm going to go around and help her fix it, and I'm going to slip 2 of the lockpicks into her hairdo.
Okay, without her noticing?
No, I'm gonna tell her.
Okay, yeah. You can put her hair up and using the 2 lockpicks to kind of hold it in place.
So these are for you in case you get into any kind of trouble, whether it's tonight or later.
Thank you. I have no idea how to use them.
Well, I'm gonna hand out the rest to the others. I'm just going to give Amsen 1, and I'll give 2 to the others and save 2 for Meli, because I don't have enough to give 2 to every single person.
Do you explain what they are?
So, yeah, I know that I can't, magically grant you proficiency in using these, but I'm gonna just basically explain how they work, and, if you ever need them, you'll have these. Hopefully you won't need them.
Kalvyn starts picking his teeth with one.
That is not how you're supposed to use them, but okay.
And yet so effective.
It's a perfect pick.
You unlock your tooth, it comes right out.
And I don't think... Well, Amsen, I'm going to ask you another favor. If you could deliver these 2 to Meli, I don't think her parents would be happy to see me anywhere near their house.
Yeah, I could probably do that.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's that. I hope you don't need them.
I certainly hope not. Alright, anything else before I head out?
Just watch yourself.
Okay.
Well, didn't we come here to decide what we'd be doing next?
Yeah. Well.
Before you leave, that is.
Kalvyn gets 10 XP. We're
Yeah.
going to play downtime activities for 3 years.
Please no. No, please no.
Meli didn't show up, so sure, yeah. What are we doing?
Well, I reckon we gotta deliver an axe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then we gotta deliver you.
Yeah.
Anything else? I'm missing something?
That seems right.
Ball will look to Ellory and say, was there anything else?
Let me ask first, Klouse. Would I have talked to Voyage at this point? Would he have talked to me about...
Oh yeah, he would have confronted you probably like a day or 2 after.
Oh, great.
And he doesn't even really say that much. He just comes over and he looks at you and you know what he's saying.
I have something I need to do before we can go, and I'm not looking forward to it one bit.
Okay.
Shit.
You can take care of that in the outhouse.
Oh, I wish it were that easy.
Well, you need to eat more greens.
I just slowly cover Kalvyn's mouth.
So, I look around first to make sure that there's nobody listening in. Especially to make sure there aren't any raiders within earshot.
Make an investigation check.
Oh, that's a dirty 20.
Looking around, you do see the 3 raiders that you saw before the other night. They're actually kind of looking over at your table, and they're whispering to each other in Giant.
Actually, that was a 19.
You still
Okay.
see them, and they're noticing over there. They're kind of nudging each other. They seem somewhat argumentative.
But they don't seem to be within earshot?
It's the tavern's semi-crowded as the sun's kind of going down, and it's loud-ish, so they may not be able to hear you. It depends. If they focus, they might, but they don't seem like they're actively paying attention, trying to listen. They're kind of arguing about stuff, and they every now and then glance over towards Bál.
Okay, I don't think I can tell you any of the details right now, but I have a favor I have to repay. And it involves something that all of you have seen. Well, no, that's only... I can skip that if I need to, but it involves someone you've all met. I need to steal something off of the raider ship.
What?
Believe me, this was not my idea.
Oh, what are you stealing?
Well, that, I think... I don't really quite understand why the person who has asked me to do this wants it, but there's some kind of egg. An iron egg.
This sounds like something from tales of myth and legend. It's going to unlock the key to some sort of ancient civilization full of treasures and things.
Well, I don't know what it is, besides what I've been told, which is not much.
Okay, so we're going into an incredibly dangerous situation on incredibly sketchy rumor to retrieve something that sounds like it's out of a storybook. That sounds exactly like what we usually do, so sure, yeah. Fine.
Wait, hold on a second.
Who said
Hold
we?
on.
Who said we?
You said before we leave.
Before we leave, I need to do this.
And you're going to go by yourself and get your head chopped off.
Will you at least accept help?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Great.
It's settled then. We'll figure it out when we do it.
I'm just not sure that help should involve all of you coming along with me. Maybe distractions?
Yeah.
Or...
Sure.
Yeah.
You plan the heist and we'll...
I can put on a show for the raiders.
I don't know about that. What? Wait, we're just gonna jump right into this? Now you're talking about it at all?
No, not tonight. No. Vesper has stuff to do.
We're gonna come up with a plan.
Oh, on board is what I'm hearing.
I'm on board. Not gonna actually be on board because
literally,
I'm not. Yeah. No. But I'll help you out.
I don't know if I can condone this kind of behavior.
Well, Kalvyn, no one's asking you to condone it. We're asking you to participate.
Please.
Well, let me rephrase then.
Please keep your voice down.
I don't know if I can participate in y'all's questionable activities.
It's because you're chicken.
That's what it is. I am chicken shit. That's exactly what it is.
Kalvyn.
Don't do it.
Kalvyn, I don't expect you to. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to get involved.
I don't think you should be doing anything. This is crazy. Let you undo the fire?
I don't disagree that this is probably a really bad idea, but I have to pay off this favor. I have to.
Find another way, because I don't think this is going to work.
Well, at least I'm not, probably not, going to take the other suggestion that was given to me by the person who asked me this favor, or asked me to repay this favor. And I'm not gonna... I don't see any way I could go after...
that would ask you to do something like this.
Sorry, I missed part of that.
Who would owe or hold a favor that you owe them? I mean, how did this come about?
And if the lockpicks are still out, I kind of look at them and I shake my head and say, I'm not naming any names.
Okay, so we're supposed to grab something we don't know from people. No, I don't. This sounds terrible. I don't think you should do it. I mean, I'll do whatever. I'll put my life on the line for you, Ellory. But I ain't gonna. This ain't the way. This ain't the hill to die on.
I owe a debt.
Debts can be paid multiple ways.
What was the other suggestion?
That to make it worth my while, I take something else while I'm there.
I'm sure they've got plenty in their storeroom, so grab whatever you need.
It was pretty specific what he thought I might want to take. Though, I think that might be a bit much for my skills anyway.
Ellory.
Favors. These raiders, these folks that you are taking from, I think it's fair to say you might owe them a favor too.
And then maybe he looks pointedly at Bál.
I know. That just makes everything 10 times worse. You think I don't know that?
Well then, let's act on what you know.
I mean, they did throw an axe at me for trying to heal one of them. So, I doubt actually being actively hostile is the way to go. Surprisingly, the more Kalvyn speaks, the more sense I'm seeing. He might be right about this. Is there no other way to repay the debt?
I don't know.
Maybe Meli can lend you some money and you can pay her back. I'm sure she doesn't charge interest.
Yeah, add that to everything I already owe.
I'd rather you owe Meli than somebody's that asking you to steal something.
I always knew that he was going to ask me to steal something. That was never in question. I mean, he did require a favor for a reason, I'm sure.
Well, what did he do for you?
And I look at the lockpicks again. And let's just call it lessons.
Because they were lessons? I don't know what else you'd call lessons. I don't know. Teachings? Learnings?
Yeah, there are lots of words for it.
Well, surely you can find another way to pay him for his lessons.
I think we already learned this lesson. And Bál kind of looks at Vesper and taps his great axe.
I don't want to be on their bad side. And I don't want you on their bad side.
Believe me, I don't want that either.
I'd renegotiate. I don't know who your friend is. And maybe I do and I don't want to know. But if they're like Mugther, maybe they like a deal. Business. I'm sure haggling is second nature.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. But I can't go too far without settling this one way or another.
Out of character, how long are they here for? They're here for the whole season, right?
That's as much as you know, yeah, for the winter.
And how far into the winter are we?
You're in the last month of it. So there's probably, let's see what day it is. There's probably about 2 weeks left before spring hits.
Well, that's a good point. Maybe we should wait till spring to be going trudging through, or do we need to have the axe back before? Do we have parameters for when we need to get the axe back?
I would assume when we can still find Called on our way home.
Yeah, I think that's what Bál gathers, is that this is something like once Bál is healed up, this is one of his first priorities.
Yeah, and a few raiders would have visited you and kind of specified that a bit more. The girl with the woman with the brown hair and braids, and the short swords would have come and kind of checked on your healing and kind of let you know that they're leaving when spring hits and you need to be back by then. And during that conversation, you can definitely tell she's against this idea. She doesn't like it. She thinks it's stupid, and she doesn't trust you or anybody else. But she's not going to go against what he says.
Well, we don't have much time.
Yeah. Well, I'll talk to my friend as soon as I get the chance. See if there's another way around this. But if there isn't, then I need to take care of this before that ship sails.
What happens if you don't?
What if I just don't do it?
Yep. Plain and simple. You can't unlearn stuff, can you?
Well, a hard enough hit to the head.
Yeah, that's what I'd be afraid of, is if she simply says no, then she's going to get into a lot of trouble.
There are many raiders. That's many hits to the head.
Yeah.
Truer words, my friend.
Klouse, would I have an impression of what kind of reaction I would get if I just outright refused?
Not good. But you don't know specifically, but not a good one.
Yeah. Similarly, would I have a good impression of how receptive he would be to coming up with an alternative way of repaying him?
You know that Voyage, unlike the Ziggurat, isn't prone to impulses and anger. He's not as openly vile or nasty, but you know he's very persistent and intelligent, and he usually gets what he wants. But that being said, he's a negotiator and a dealer, but you don't know exactly how he'd respond without speaking to him.
Well, I think it's worth trying to see if I can come to a different arrangement. But I'm not so sure that the alternative would be any better than what he's presented to me now.
Well, let me ask you also this. What if you fail while trying to do this? You just have to do another time? I mean, or are you square?
I don't think I'd be square. I don't think giving it a good try would count.
Have you seen the egg?
I'm assuming no?
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
He described it as football-sized, maybe, is what his intel told him. But a vine.
Has your friend seen the egg?
Would I know if he's seen it himself?
He has a description of it. You don't know whether he's seen it or not.
Yeah, all I have is this description.
I mean, I was just thinking we have a couple of smiths that we know. It might not be too hard to fake, but if it's something special and he knows that might not be an alternative.
I don't think he would send me after this particular thing unless there were something special about it. I mean, it just from the description, it doesn't seem like anything that would be particularly valuable in and of itself. So there has to be some other reason, some value that it has that isn't immediately apparent. And knowing him, he'd probably be able to tell the difference. Maybe not immediately, but eventually.
Maybe not immediately. You leave for 9 minutes. And eventually, while you're away.
I'm not so sure the consequences wouldn't come down on somebody else instead if I tried something like that.
That's fair.
I'll talk to him, see if I can renegotiate. If not, then...
Well, how about this? How about this? Let's take care of this axe first. We know we gotta get back before they leave anyway. If you are stuck in a position where you have to do this, you know we'll be back in time for you to at least do whatever you gotta do. Let's take care of Bál's axe first.
All right. I'll talk to my friend before we go.
All right.
Okay, and as you're all gathered around on the copper sail, setting forth a plan and knowing your next steps to take it, that's where we're going to leave off and pick up next week.